Let's go David, Jeff Hood, and Mike Mulhern.
Yeah, Jeff, David Newton, ESPN.com. There seems to be an impression out there that Jimmy Johnson's team's struggling right now in a way they haven't struggled in the past 4 seasons when they won the title. First, do you agree with that, and do you think it's good for the sport for him to be struggling?
Well, I don't agree with that. I think we have a way of forgetting the way history really was. The 48 team hasn't come into the chase. I can remember a few years ago talking about around Indy time, the 48 team might not make the chase. The 48 team hasn't been the team that just dominated from the Daytona 500 to Homestead. They've had periods where we all, the media, the other teams, they themselves became, looked at and said, hey, they're not doing a very good job. So I don't believe it's any different. I believe that they've struggled in more so in some years than others for sure. But they're a tough race team, and they're going to be hard to beat. But I just think we tend to forget that great teams still go through struggles, and I've seen that team struggle, but then still find a way to come out on top. Well, I think if the 48 wins the championship again this year, excuse me, 48 wins the championship again this year, the only thing that we'll talk about is how the 48 is dominating the sport. We won't talk about the 48 struggled in August. You know what I mean? So, end results are what matter, and I think that that's what the fans focus on.
Let's go Jeff, Mike, and Chuck Howard.
Jeff Hood of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Jeff, I just wanted to get your thoughts about the track surface here. 13 years since it's been repaved. Drivers kind of like the seasoned asphalt. What are your thoughts as it stands right now? Man,
it's I made a comment here last year racing that I in the race car during the race day. I said, "Are you sure we're not at Rockingham?" I mean, the place was so slick. The speed fell off so much, which is why it's fun. The cars move around a lot here. There's a lot of rear movement in the car. It's a very, very difficult racetrack. This racetrack has a bigger personality split from qualifying to racing than anywhere we go. Qualifying is so fast, crazy fast, and then you go race, you get 20 laps into the race, and you're like, my God, I mean, you cannot believe how slow it gets. And to me, that's what's fun about it. That's why you see at this racetrack, I think more than anywhere else, you'll see a car that was really running well, and all of a sudden he's not running well anymore. And you'll see a car that wasn't running well, and all of a sudden he is running well. Because the track is so slick, small changes make a big difference in how the car drives. But, I think it's fun like that.
Okay, let's go with Mike Mulhern, Chuck Howard, and then Jay Pennell.
Mike Mulhern, MikeMulhern.net. Denny Hamlin said at Bristol that for the guys that are already in the chase or pretty much locked into the chase, these last few races, Bristol, Atlanta, Richmond, there's not nearly the incentive to win. If you win, fine. But the point is not to make mistakes, and it's sort of like, you finish second, he said, it's the same as finishing 42nd for the guys that are already in the chase because all the points go back to zero in a couple of weeks anyway. Do you feel that way?
Well, I agree with him that the most important thing at that point is winning. And if you can't win, then you don't go home feeling, okay, we didn't have a good day, but we still finished 8th and we got points. You're more focused on, well, we didn't win. So I don't think the races are like they don't mean anything. I think they actually mean a lot because 10 bonus points I think is a great thing to have. But certainly you're more racing for the win than you are for the way the points thing works. And a lot of people think, well, we go out and we try to finish 8th to get 8th place points. We try to finish first, and we're happy that we got 8th place points versus 20th place points. When there's no longer matters that you finish 8th versus winning, then you don't appreciate what 8th was. But I still think running well is very important. I think our game is a game of Lego. You just keep putting the Lego block on top of the next one, and learning. You keep learning and learning and learning, and the better you're running, the more you're applying what you're learning, and I think that makes it easier to run better the next week.
Let's go Chuck, Jay, and we'll end with Lee. Go ahead, Chuck.
Chuck Howard, NASCAR Media Group. Jeff, next week heading to Richmond. Obviously, we all know you have roots there. Can you do you still get the same feeling you did when you were a rookie racing back in your home state? And secondly, is Richmond a tougher animal to run than maybe most of us realize it is?
Well, for me, Richmond's a big race. Richmond and Martinsville are my hometown races, and I think they're two of the coolest racetracks on the circuit. I take a lot of pride from, I raced Richmond in late models, run there in nationwide cars, cup cars. To me, it's a special race to go there and run well on. Denny grew up, closer to Richmond than I did, so it's truly a hometown race for him. But yeah, it is special to be able to race there in front of people that know you not just as a race car driver but as a person. And I think it's a cool race. It's a really difficult racetrack. It's a fun racetrack. It's a blast to run on. The thing about Richmond, you never know, is it going to be a multiple groove track or is it not? And why that is, I have no idea. We'll go there one race and run across the white line all night, then the next race we'll go and run against the wall all night, and it's hard to figure out where to go. So that's the biggest challenge about Richmond is, corners are tight. It's a small short track. It's a big short track, but for our cars, it's a small short track, and it's really hard to get your car to turn there. It's hard to make forward grip. And it's a challenging racetrack.
Let's go Jay and then end with Lee.
Jay Pennell with front stretch and all left turns. Kind of touching on the day to night kind of question. This night race going forward, this is going to be the only race at Atlanta. It's a night race. Does that change the notes that you had from this track from the past? Do you have to adjust that now?
Is next year's race not a night race?
No, going forward, it seems like it's going to be a night race.
Okay. Well, I think that anytime there's a night race, anytime we practice during the day and race at night, we look really, really hard at what was different in practice versus what we had in the race, and we try to apply that to the next race. When you go somewhere and you've never raced there at night and you have practice during the day, that's when it's a big challenge because you really don't know what's going to happen. The one thing we do know is that the track's going to gain more grip. But what effect that has on your car, you really don't know until you experience it. We can computer model it, we can do all those things, but honestly, until you experience it, you really don't know. So it will be important for us to understand the difference between day and night, and we will certainly hopefully apply that well next year.
Final question, Lee.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. When this season's said and done, having worked with Scott Miller and knowing the amount of contribution that he made to you as a crew chief, and now in his new role, how much will that have affected the three teams being where they need to be contenders for the chase this season?
Well, Scott's been an integral part of our new RCR. I mean, we're a different company than we were at this point last year. Scott has taken an upper management position and has done a good job with that and helped guide the company in some directions we needed to go in. He's a great listener. One of the keys to Scott, and this is when we first started talking about this. One of the things I said to Richard is that what Scott is. He's intelligent. He's smart. He's quick on his feet to think. He's willing to listen to everybody. But on top of all that, he is an RCR guy. He has a true passion for RCR being at a high level, and that's a great attribute. When you put that with his ability, those are great things. So it's not surprised me that I was Scott's biggest advocate to do this position. It hasn't surprised me. He's done well, and we set in motion a plan that we believed would have effects in 2011, 2012, 2013, much more than it had effect in 2010. I think it's fair to say we had immediate effect, and that's a good thing because I think our new program will benefit us more next year and the year after than it necessarily did this year. And Scott's foresight and a lot of that's been real important.
Jeff, thank you so much,
Thanks,
and good
guys.
luck this weekend in Atlanta.
Good day.
Thank you, pal. Okay, Nationwide Series practice will conclude at 10:50. We'll start with NASCAR.